Welcome back. Hopefully the problems you're working on in your accounting using Excel class are going well, and in this video we'll learn how to prepare an electronic bank reconciliation. So let's get started. Can you remember the purposes for doing a bank reconciliation? If you happen to take my Accounting 100 class, you would have heard that preparing a bank reconciliation is one of the most important things that you should take home out of your Accounting 100 class, because all of you will have bank accounts, and it's important from an internal control standpoint to be able to reconcile your account. So as always, by now you should have found and read the directions in Canvas, downloaded the Excel file that's located within the Canvas platform, and now we'll complete the assignment. And of course, if you need any help, don't be afraid to seek it out. So the objectives of this problem are to prepare a bank reconciliation and the necessary adjusting entries, to be able to analyze bank and book data to solve for incomplete data, the ability to interpret differences, and of course, as always on all assignments, the ability to create a chart. So let's look at a brief overview of what a bank reconciliation involves. In a nutshell, a company compares their recorded information against a second independent source, which is the bank statement. As noted in Accounting 100, the bank reconciliation is one of the most powerful internal control tools that we have over our cash accounts. A bank reconciliation can help you find errors quickly if it's done regularly, and it helps to assess whether the cash balance on the books is accurate. And of course, any adjustments made on the book side, and notice I said book side, requires that adjusting journal entries be made. So there are reasons why balances may not be equal. Other than errors, there are four main reasons why the balances may not agree with one another. The first one is outstanding checks. These would be checks that you have written and recorded in your books, but for some reason the payee, or the person who the check is payable to, has not yet cashed the checks. The second common reasons why the balances may not equal is due to deposits in transit. Those are deposits that are usually made on the last day of the month, and because of timing differences, the deposit is not recorded by the bank on the same day that you recorded it in the book. Again, most of the time this happens on the cutoff day near the end of the month. A third reason are for charges that you may not know about. For example, service charges. Banks nowadays charge you for everything, so chances are there may be a couple things that show up on the bank statement that you were not aware of. And finally, there may be deposits that appear on the bank's records that you were unaware of, such as a collection of a note. Doesn't happen too often, but occasionally it does happen. So, this is an overview on the steps needed to prepare the bank reconciliation in case you're a little rusty. So on the bank side, you're going to enter the balance from the bank statement onto the bank reconciliation. And by the way, I will be demonstrating these steps. I'm just giving you an overview before we demonstrate them. Then you want to compare the deposits in your records to the deposits on the bank records. If they match, you want to check them off. If they don't match, I would encourage you to circle those, and the circled items will be the ones that we place on our bank reconciliation. Next, you'll do the same type of comparison, and you'll list the outstanding checks. Those are the checks that you've recorded in your book records, but for some reason they have not yet cleared the bank. And finally, you would list any errors that the bank made. and this would be based on a one-on-one comparison of your records to the bank records. And of course, you would compute the adjusted bank balance after adding in the deposits in transit, subtracting out the outstanding checks, and adjusting for any bank errors. On the book side of the bank reconciliation, you're going to list the balance from the cash account in your records. This could be from the general ledger, or it could be from a Quicken or QuickBooks account. Wherever it is that you keep your book records, you would want to enter the cash balance on the cutoff date. You'll want to record any deposits that the bank may have made that you may not have known about, such as a collection. Finally, you want to record any deductions that the bank made that you may not know about. Most common are different types of fees, or possibly NSF checks that we've received from our customers. NSF checks, or sometimes they're called ISF checks, stand for non-sufficient funds or insufficient funds. And then we would want to record any errors that we made on our side that was discovered during the reconciliation process. And finally, we would compute the adjusted book balance. So once again, here's a summary. Compare the two balances. If they match, you are done. That rarely happens if you have any kind of substantial activity in an account. If they don't match, then you're going to make sure that any reconciling items from the last month have cleared. You want to compare the deposits or cash in. And again, if they match, great, check them off. The ones that do not match are the ones that we need to worry about placing in the bank reconciliation. Then you'll do the same thing with the disbursements or the cash out. And then you'll want to take a look at any other items that are not checked off on either side. Again, the ones that don't match are considered reconciling items. All unmatched items need to be placed on the bank reconciliation in the proper place. So the format of a bank reconciliation will be as follows. Again, I'll be demonstrating this. On the bank side, you'll start off with the bank balance. Usually it's as of the end of the month, but it doesn't have to be. You'll add in deposits in transit. You'll take out outstanding checks, and you'll add or subtract the bank errors depending on which way they go. On the book side, or the second section, you'll write in the book balance on the same cutoff date. You'll add in deposits that haven't been recorded, like the collection of a note. You'll take out deductions that the bank has written down that you didn't know about. Most common are fees and NSF checks from customers. And then there's always the possibility that we've made an error on our side of the books that needs to be accounted for. And when you foot that, you should get the adjusted book balance, and they call it a reconciliation because the two sides have to balance. So that's an overview of what you can expect to practice on this problem. So now we'll get busy and demonstrate the problem in Excel. Here is a copy of the problem with the bank records and the book records side by side. On the bank statement side, here's the starting balance that we'll be starting with. On the book side, here's the starting balance that we're going to be starting with. The first step in the bank reconciliation process was to make sure that items from the previous month have cleared. There were 2 checks outstanding listed. So number 5888 and number 5893 were outstanding as of last month. So check number 5888 is listed here on the bank rec, so we're going to check that off or cross it out. That one's already cleared. The second check, which is 5893, does not appear down here, and so we will circle it. The second check does not show up down here, so that is a deposit in transit, and that needs to go on the bank reconciliation. So we've just finished step 1, which says compare the previous month's outstanding items to the current bank statement, and we saw that one of them matched here and here, and the other one does not, so we circled it. It's still a reconciling item. Now that we have that out of the way, the second step is to compare the deposits on the bank side to the deposits on the book side. You want to do a line item by line item comparison. If they match, check them off, and if they don't, circle them. So we see that this deposit matches. We see that the second deposit matches, the 4093 matches, the 2351-70 matches, and we see two other items that are here but not over on the book side. These two items are reconciling items. Also, over here on the book side, there's a deposit that is dated the last day of the month in September that has not cleared the bank. That is a deposit in transit. I need to go back and correct myself on the previous one. This check that had not cleared the bank was not a deposit. It's an outstanding check. Okay, you're going to do the same thing with the checks. I'll start you off and you can finish up. So on the check side, the first one that we see is one for $719.90. It has cleared the bank, so check them off. The next one we see is $1824.25 in our records and on the bank records. Check them off. You're going to continue to do that on a line item by line item basis until you've compared every item. When you're done, the amounts that are circled are the ones that need to go on the bank reconciliation. So I'm going to take the items that I've circled so far, and I have 4 of them. I have this first outstanding check up here. I have a deposit in transit here. And I have these 2 deposits that are unaccounted for on our records. I'm going to take that and insert it into the proper place on the bank reconciliation. Let's pull up our Excel spreadsheet and get started. Okay, so here's our Excel bank reconciliation, and you'll notice that the date is for September 30th. So let's start off by putting our balance in. As noted before, the September 30th bank statement showed a balance of $18,453.25. And the balance per the books, also on the previous screen, was $17,404.20. So because the 2 balances are not equal, we have to move forward with the reconciliation. Now I'm going to enter the 4 items or so that we found as we were comparing the bank's records to the book's records. And one of the first things we located was an outstanding check from the previous month that had not cleared. So it's important to itemize everything. Remember that this is a company's cash account that you are adjusting. So we want to make sure that we have good descriptions, solid descriptions for each item that appears. So this was an outstanding check, and this was from the August 31st bank reconciliation. And since this is a deduction, It would probably be easiest if we entered it with a minus sign in front of it. The amount of that check was $494.25. That way we can just do a straightforward equal sum. In fact, why don't I enter that now? This formula is going to be a sum from the top to the bottom, and if we put our deductions in with minus signs in front of them, it makes that formula very easy. The other thing that we located was a deposit in transit that was made on the last day of the month. So I'll go ahead and put that one in with sufficient detail. So this would say 9/30 deposit in transit, and I would put the proper amount, which was $1682.75. The other two items that we located, one of them was a deposit that was unrecorded by us. That would go in the addition section, and if you read the notes to the problem, it said that although the amount of the deposit recorded by the bank was for $1,485, that was actually a note collected by the bank less a $15 service charge. So we can either put $1,500 here and put the $15 fee down here, or we can show the net, which is probably the preferred way because that's what actually showed up on the bank statement. We could put it net of the charge and just make sure that we record that appropriately in the adjusting journal entries. And then the last thing we discovered in that section was a $12.50 deposit with the words IN. And although the problem didn't explicitly tell you what that was, if it's money coming in and the description is IN, most likely that is some type of an interest earned charge. So I'll go ahead and put that description there. So Formula 2 is going to be the same as Formula 1 in that it's a simple equal sum from the top to the bottom. We can use that as long as we make sure that our deductions are entered with a minus sign in front of it. So you're going to continue to do the one-on-one comparison, and any items that you circle have to be entered into the bank reconciliation, and when you're done, your difference down here in Formula 3 should be 0, because to reconcile a bank statement means that there is no difference between the balances. So you'll want to be looking at Formula 3 occasionally to see if your items are balanced. I'm going to put that formula in right now. Formula 3 is going to be equal to the adjusted bank balance less the adjusted book balance. And now this tells me how much I'm off by, but that's because I haven't finished the problem. So I hope that helps. If you need more instruction, I would encourage you to go to my regular website, www.cerritos.edu/dljohnson. You can go to my course materials for Accounting 100, and I believe that would be the Chapter 9 handout. So otherwise, don't be afraid to grab an old book or even Google steps for a bank reconciliation, but I believe that's enough instruction to get you started. So as always, after you've watched the video and after you've carefully reviewed the steps for a bank reconciliation, complete the problem according to the directions. Don't forget to double check the requirements before you upload it to me. I only grade work once, so take the time to make sure that the final file, one file that you're submitting, has all the requirements on it. Also, make sure your work prints out properly. Your bank reconciliation should fit on one page. The journal entries that you prepare and any other thing in the analysis section should print on one page. Don't forget to check that. So after double checking then make sure you upload the file to me based on the given file name in the handout. And of course, if you need help, just ask. You can email me, you can come into my office, you can go to any one of the numerous staffed accounting labs, or you can post a discussion board question for your classmates. I'm here to help you along the journey. There's no reason why you should turn in an unbalanced bank reconciliation. If you start the problem ahead of time and not an hour before it's due, then you can certainly get help from me through emailing me, or you can always post a discussion question and get help from your classmates as well. Until next time, see you later.